Hello everyone, I welcome you all to Keralakam CBSE School Moodle online classes. So in previous class we discussed about multiplication of two decimal numbers, and I told you that today I will continue with multiplication of decimal number by 10, 100 and 1000. Multiplication of decimal number by 10, 100 and 1000. Okay, so now here they have given some examples. We will discuss those examples now. So 1.76, this is the first example. 1.76 into 10. 1.76 into 10. Now before multiplying directly this 1.76 into 10, what they did here, they converted this 1.76 to fraction value, so that we can understand easily how to multiply these decimal numbers. Okay, so they convert this 1.76 to fraction. So how you can convert this 176, and here after this decimal point, how many digits you have? After this decimal point we have 2 digits. Therefore in front of this 1 I will consider 2 zeros. How I converted this decimal number to a fraction? What I did here, just I have written 176 as it is only, divided by, here after this decimal point I have 2 digits. Therefore first I have written 1, next after this decimal point I have 2 digits, so I considered 2 zeros here. So 176 divided by 100 into what you have here, that is 10. So into 10 I will write it as it is only. Okay, into 10 I have written as it is. So now here you can cancel these two zeros, because you can see here this 176 into 10, these two values are in numerator, only we have 100 in denominator. Again I will repeat, this 10 and 176 are in numerator and this 100 is in denominator. So you can cancel any of the value here. You can cancel 176 or 10 by this 100. Okay, so here I will cancel two zeros, this 0 and this 0. So what is remaining now? 176 divided by 10, because 176 into 1, these two are in numerator, so you have to multiply with numerator value only. So 176 into 1, 176 divided by, in denominator what is remaining? 10. So 176 divided by 10 means how you can convert. Here we want to convert this to decimal number, fraction to decimal. How you can convert? You can see here, first I will write this number 176 as it is only. Next, here in denominator we have 10, which means we have only 1 0. After this 1 we have only 1 0. Therefore after this decimal point we should have only 1 digit. Again I will repeat, here in 10 how many zeros we have? Only 1 0. Therefore after this decimal point we should have only 1 digit. So the answer is 17.6. Okay, like this they have given some more values, that is 1.76 into 100 equals to, what you will get here. So first we have to convert 1.76 to fraction. So if you convert this to fraction, what you will get? Like this only, 176 divided by 100 into, next what you have here? 100. Here we multiply this 1.76 with 10, and here we are multiplying this 1.76 with 100. So if you convert this 1.76 to fraction value, we got here 176 divided by 100 into 100 I have written as it is only. So now we can cancel these two values by the denominator value 100. So now here 100 ones are and here 100 ones are. So now we can multiply. Here we have 1 in numerator. So 176, 176 into 1. What do we get? 176. 176 into 1, 176 divided by, in denominator what you have? 1. So if you have 1 in denominator, so no need to mention that. Just you can write it as 176. Okay. So this is the answer we got when you multiplied 1.76 into 100. Okay. One more example they have given here, that is 1.76 into 1000. So how we can multiply here? 1.76 into 1000 means, so first we will convert this 1.76 to fraction value. So what we will get here? Like this only, 176 divided by 100 into, what is the value we have here? That is 1000. So I will write 1000 here. Now again we can cancel any of these two values by 100. So I will cancel these two zeros here and these two zeros. Okay. So now 176 into 10. In numerator we have 10. So 176 into 10 means what you get? 1760. And in denominator we have 1. So no need to mention that. So the answer is 1760. Okay. So these are the three examples. First they converted here this value to fraction, then they multiplied with second value, that is 10, 100 or 1000. And here if you observe this answer with the given values, you can see here 1.76 into 10, what we got here? 17.6. 1.76 into 10 means we got answer as 17.6. You can see here how many zeros we have here? In 10 only 1 0. So that many digits this decimal point will move towards right side. Again I will repeat this, listen it very carefully. Here we are multiplying 1.76 with 10. So here if you multiply this with 10, how many zeros do we have in this 10? Only 1 0. So if you have only 1 0, then this decimal point will move only one step towards the right side. So here I moved this decimal point one step towards right side. So the answer is 17. After this 7, I got this decimal point. So the answer is 17.6. Okay. Now you can see here 1.76 into 100. What is the answer we got here? 176. So answer is 176 here. So here you can see we are multiplying this 1.76 with 100 means here in this 100 how many zeros we have? 2 zeros. So here if we have 2 zeros, then we have to move this decimal point 2 steps towards right side. Again I will repeat, here we have 2 zeros, then we have to move this decimal point 2 steps towards right side. Okay. So what I did here, I moved 2 steps to decimal point towards right side. So what you get? 176.0. After that decimal point we don't have any value here. So we will consider 0. So 176.0 means that is nothing but 176 only. After that decimal point, if you have only 0 means you can consider that whole number only, that is 176. Again you can see here 1.76 into 1000. We are multiplying this decimal number with 1000. So here if you multiply with 1000, you can see here what is the answer we got? 1760. Okay. So now you can see how many zeros we have here. In 1000 we have 3 zeros. In 1000 there are 3 zeros. Okay. So if you multiply this 1.76 with 1000, where we have 3 zeros, then you have to move this decimal point 3 steps towards right side. But here you can see after this decimal point we have only 2 digits. But here we have 3 zeros, which means you have to move this decimal point 3 steps towards right side. But here we have only 2 digits, That's why we are considering one more 0 here. Here we were having decimal point 1.76. Then after getting this 3 zeros, you have to move this decimal point 3 steps towards right side. One is 7, second is 6. Next in third step we will write 1 0 here because we don't have any value, so we will write 1 0. So what we got? 1760. Okay. So by this method directly you can multiply without converting this value to this fraction value. After that cancelling these values, then you have to convert this fraction value to decimal number. This is the process. But here by this method directly you can multiply. What you have to do? Just you have to count the number of zeros you have in 10, 100, 1000. How many zeros you have to? How many zeros you have? Just you have to count those zeros, and in decimal number you have to move that decimal point that many steps towards right side. Okay. So by this method we will solve some of the examples here. That is, they have given here 2.35 into 10 they have given. Okay. Now we will start multiplying directly. Okay. So 2.35 into 10 means how to multiply. So we are multiplying with 10 means how many zeros we have in 10? Only 1 0. So if you multiply with this 10 where we have only 1 0, then you have to move this decimal point only one step towards right side. So only one step means you have to move one step. So here we have 3. After this 3 we will get that decimal point. So what you get? 2, 3 decimal point. So I moved 1 point towards right side. So 23.5. This is the answer. Okay. Now one more example, that is 2.35 into 100. So now we are multiplying this 2.35 with 100. In 100 how many zeros you have? 2 zeros. So here we have 2 zeros means what you have to do? You have to move this decimal point. You have to move this decimal point 2 steps towards right side. Okay. So if you move this decimal point 2 steps towards right side, what you will get? 235. So here if you move 2 steps towards right side, after that 235 you will get decimal point. Then you will consider 0 here. You don't have any value means we will consider 0. So that is 235.0, or you can just write it as 235. Okay. Now next example they have given here again 2.35 into 1000. 2.35 into 1000. Okay. So how we can multiply here? How many zeros we have in this 1000? We have 3 zeros. In 1000 we have 3 zeros. So we will move this decimal point 3 steps towards right side. But here we have only 2 digits. Then how we can move 3 steps? Which means you have to consider 1 0 in third step. So first I will write 235, so that I move this decimal point 2 steps. Then again I have to move third step also. In that case I will consider 0. After this we will get decimal point. So 2350.0. So if after this decimal point if you have 0, then just you can ignore that. So the answer is 2350. Okay. So this is how to multiply decimal numbers with 10, 100 and 1000. Only the basic thing here you have to remember is just you have to count how many zeros you have, and in decimal number those many steps just you have to move towards right side. Okay. So now let us see some more examples here based on this same concept. Write all these examples. Just pause this video and write all the examples I have written here. Okay. So now 0.07 into 10. 0.07 into 10. So what we get here? 0.07 into 10 means, here you can see We are multiplying with 10, which means only one zero we have. So that we have to move this decimal point only one step towards right side. Okay. So now, if I move only one step towards the right side, what is the answer we will get? Here 007, I will write as it is only. So now I will move this decimal point only one step towards right side, means 0.7. That is nothing but 0.7. Just you can write it as 0.7. No need to consider this 0 again. Okay? So 0.7 is the answer. Next, after this 0.07 into 100. 0.07 into 100. So how to multiply here? Again you can see here, in front of 1 how many zeros you have? In front of 1 how many zeros you have? 2 zeros. Means you have to move this decimal point 2 steps towards the right side. So after this 7 you will get decimal point. After this 7 you will get decimal point, and in front of 7 you have these 2 zeros. So if you have 2 zeros in front of the 7, then there is no value for these zeros. Okay, so what is the value you will get here? 7. And after this 7 you will get decimal point, and we don't have any value there, so we can consider 0 there. So 7.0 means that is nothing but 7 only. Okay, now one more example they have given here, that is 0.07. Again they are multiplying this with 1000. Okay, so if they multiply with 1000, in 1000 how many zeros we have? 3 zeros we have. Okay, so we have to move 3 steps towards right side, this decimal point. So first step, second step, and in third step we don't have any value, so that we will consider 1 0 here. Okay, so if I consider 1 0 here, then after this 0 I will get decimal point. So here in front of this 7 we have 2 zeros. So there is no value for these 2 zeros if these are before 7. Okay, so directly I will write 7, and we have to move 3 steps towards right side, this decimal point. So in third step we don't have any value, so I will consider 0 here. So after this I will get this decimal point, and we don't have any value after this decimal point, so that I will consider 0. So 70.0, which means we can write directly as 70. Okay, so this is how to multiply decimal number with 10, 100 and 1000. With this, all the concepts related to exercise 2.6 is completed. Now in exercise 2.6 I will solve some of the problems. In first main problem, in first question, they are given here 0.2 into 6. 0.2 into 6 means what you will get? Just multiply 6 into 2. What you will get? 6 into, sorry, here we have 2 into 6. No need to consider this decimal point. Okay, so 2 into 6 means we will get 2. And what you have to do here? In these two numbers, after the decimal point, how many digits you have to count. So here in 0.2, after this decimal point, how many digits you have? Only 1, that is 2. We have 2 after this decimal point. So only 1 digit we have here. Okay, and here in 6, after the decimal point, we don't have any numbers here, or we don't have any decimal point also. So I will consider 0. So 1 plus 0 means 1. So after decimal point we should get only 1 digit. So after this decimal point I should get only 1 digit. So the answer is 1.2. Just what you have to do here, just multiply without considering this decimal point. So you get the answer. Then count how many digits you have after the decimal point. Here we have only one digit after the decimal point in both the numbers. Okay. So here I will consider decimal point in such a way that in answer after this decimal point I should get only one digit. Okay. So one more problem I will solve now from first main question only. This second one, here they have given 8 into 4.6. 8 into 4.6. So how you can multiply? So 4.6 I will write here into 8. Okay. So now if you multiply here 8 6 the what you will get? 48. Next 8 4 the 32. 8 4 the 32. 32 plus 4 36. So without considering this decimal point we got answer as 368. Now what you have to do? Just count how many numbers you have after this decimal point in both the numbers. Here in 8 we don't have decimal point. Here in 4.6 after this decimal point we have only one digit, that is 6. So only one digit we have here after this decimal point. So I will consider decimal point in such a way that after this decimal point I should get only one digit. So the answer is 36.8. Okay. This is how to multiply decimal numbers. Just you have to multiply without considering decimal point. Then just count how many numbers you have after the decimal point. In answer also just consider this decimal point in such a way that after that decimal point you should get same number of digits. Okay. So try to solve all the problems in first main question of exercise 2.6 and try to solve second question of this exercise. In next class again I will solve some of the problems of this exercise 2.6. Okay. Thank you all.